Hello and welcome to Of the People. I am Robert Chernin with my lovely co-host
Ericka Redic.
And we are back for yet another day of news, politics, and our large dose of irreverence. Ericka, you know what? There's nothing going on in the news today. Absolutely nothing.
I don't believe you, Robert.
Do you believe me?
I don't believe you one bit. Because I've been watching the news and I feel like
there's a few things.
Oh my goodness.
So folks, stay with us. Obviously, we're going to start with what's outrageous, and Lord knows there's a lot of it. But next segment, we're going back to big education because my girlfriend is once again in the news. And, you know, this woke stuff is like the gift that keeps on giving if you're in media or entertainment, right?
Yes.
But the third segment, Ericka, which is, I know, one of your hot buttons, we're going to talk about illegal immigration, but an aspect that people don't really focus on, which is child trafficking, which is, if illegal immigration is horrible, child trafficking is an infamia. It is just unforgivable and unthinkable. But stay tuned with us. But Ericka, we got to go back to the outrage. I grew up outside New York City.
Okay.
Right. And have you ever had New York City pizza?
Oh my God. Yeah. I remember this pizza joint opened up in Burlington called Big Daddy's Pizza. And it was the best pizza I had ever eaten in my life. And it actually closed down. I literally cried when it closed. Thank you, Burlington, for sucking. That's a side note.
Yeah, but wait a minute. That's not New York pizza.
No,
you cannot make
New York
pizza anywhere except New York.
Even though he was a New Yorker, bringing the New York style and the New York.
You can make New York style. The water's different. The dough is different. Frankly, the freaking attitude they make it with is different. Okay. You know, ain't 1, 2, 3, not for none. Hey, you want another one or what?
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
But wait a minute. So New York City, in their infinite wisdom, right? First, they are giving out free drugs. And folks, let's be candid. Those drug machines are paraphernalia machines.
Yes.
But they are giving out Narcan, which is a drug.
Yes.
So, you know, and, you know, it's just New York City and their infinite stupidity. But now New York, under the real threat to world peace of climate change, is requiring all wood fire and coal burning pizza parlors to reduce their emissions by 75% in New York City.
What?
Because wait. So folks, go to New York, buy all the pizzas you usually get and freeze them because because it's all about the temperature.
What are we going to make them in? Electric stoves?
No. Wait. So the Department of Environmental Protection said all New Yorkers deserve to breathe healthy air, and the wood and coal-fired stoves are among the largest contributors of harmful pollutants in the neighborhoods with poor air quality.
Yeah, but it also
could be the cars. Do you think it could be the factories? Do you think it could be Con Ed? Do you think? I mean,
oh my God,
you're going after pizza parlors?
That is, of all of the dumb stuff that they say in New York City, you want me to believe that the most delicious pizza on earth is the contributing factor?
It is. So like, look, Lombardi's, Grimaldi's, I mean, places that I used to go to all the time, and it's going to cost them like $20,000 or $30,000 to install this apparatus, and then they got to service it, and it's going to mess with the temperature and mess with the product. But, you know, in the name of climate change, you should do this because New York says it's better for the air you breathe. I have, by the way, all those people in New York who are worried about the air they breathe, I have a better solution for them.
Stop smoking crack.
It's called Move.
Also, just for the record, those places you named, Grimaldi's and whatever, how are we sure this is not anti-Italian? Sounds very...
Ooh, I hadn't thought of that.
Ooh, what? Oh, is the New York mayor racist? Is he trying to go after Italians? That's what it is.
Well, I mean, look, we're all racist now, so why should Eric Adams be any different than everybody else to be a racist, right? We're all racist now. But so, anyways, folks, won't spend long on this, but I'm telling you, look it up. New York's going after the pizza parlors for clean air. I mean, it just, boggles my mind.
$20,000 or $30,000?
It's $20,000 to $30,000 to install a unit. Then they have to have someone come in and clean it every 60 or 90 days. And so what? This guy with like 3 or 4 little pizza ovens is going to affect the quality of air in New York City. I mean, the level of stupidity of our politicians and our political leaders. I mean, look, the problem is, as Benjamin Franklin said, we tend to get the type of representative government we deserve. Mm-hmm. We must be really stupid.
Oh, yeah.
To keep electing guys like this who put into place policies like this. And by the way, all respects, he's better than, what was the knucklehead that was before him?
Oh my God. Why is my
brain
is farting.
The radical leftist,
oh my God, so
Daniel
terrible.
Ortega loving, I forget his name, but whatever. But
no, Cuomo was the governor.
No. New York City mayor.
The New York
City mayor.
De Blasio. Yes.
De Blasio. Yeah, that guy.
Oh my God. I bet you some union is involved. Somebody invented this machine.
What, the anti-pizza oven union?
I don't know. I don't know. I know you said you didn't want to spend a lot of time on this.
All right, let's move on.
Yeah, let's keep going.
From the ridiculous to the truly outrageous.
Okay.
So Ericka, you and I go back and forth, and we get into a lot of this stuff. And you're always a good sport, and you generally let me verbally beat you up a little bit sometimes, and I appreciate that. Okay, but I'm just glad that this show is not in Michigan.
Ooh.
Michigan just passed a law that they can fine you $10,000 and they can put you in jail for up to 5 years if you say anything or do anything that hurts people's feelings. Oh. I swear that I am not making this up, folks. Right? So wait a minute.
You're
Michigan House Bill 4474 establishes that even feeling threatened is a crime that could lead up to $10,000 fine or 5 years behind bars.
But I'm not
Quote,
allowed.
Wait.
Okay.
Quote, the language is the following, that the legislation defines intimidation, feelings or intimidation as being willful course of conduct involving repeated and continuing harassment of another individual that would cause a reasonable individual to feel terrorized, frightened, intimidated, threatened, harassed, or molested, and that actually causes the victim to feel that way. So we're now talking about making, first of all, now I have to be responsible for your feelings. I thought that was your husband's responsibility, not mine. Secondly, so if I make you feel bad and we're in Michigan, you can send me to jail for 5 years. I'll pay the $10,000. It's worth it.
Isn't Michigan where Kyle Rittenhouse was prosecuted?
That was Wisconsin. Close.
That was Wisconsin.
That was Wisconsin.
So you can't use your Second Amendment right to protect yourself if you feel threatened, actually threatened by pedophiles or by violent criminals, and all of the demonstrations that were happening in Michigan. Oh my God. So good golly. But if I just hurt your feelings, you're going to throw me in jail. They have laws like you have duty to flee and crap like that if somebody's literally physically threatening you. But if I just verbally hurt your feelings, now I can go to jail.
So if you're breaking into my house and I defend myself, there's a better than 50-50 chance that I am going to be brought up on charges.
Correct.
But if I say something in Michigan that hurts your feelings, you can file suit. And by the way, let's be clear here. Who defines it? This is another of that Democrat progressive crap, slippery slope nonsense about how high is up, right? What's reasonable, what defines people's feelings. But it actually misses the whole point here. I grew up with, because I'm older than you, I grew up with the old saying that sticks and stones may break my bones, but names will never hurt me. But the core of that concept, think about this, Ericka. The core of that concept is what you say about me doesn't matter. What I think about myself matters. And clearly, we've inverted this. So now I have to be responsible for what you feel. And which is just another attempt at censorship, which is just another attempt by this wokest elite totalitarian nonsense
Is this
to try to remake America by silencing the opposition.
I'm sorry, I got so incensed so quickly that I probably missed. Is this criminal or is this civil? Is this can you bring a criminal suit
well, first of all, it's got to be criminal, right? Because it's a hate crime. It's under hate crime. And by the way, if it's civil, you generally don't go to jail unless it's fraud, right? And then fraud is criminal, right?
Right.
So this is a criminal
Oh my
code.
God.
They have passed a law on hate crime signed by Governor what's her name? Whitmer. Right? By the way, if there's anybody who looks like the evil queen in Snow White, she's got my vote.
Oh my God,
I know you're not supposed to talk about people's looks. It's shallow, it's misogynistic, and it's mansplaining or whatever it is.
No,
I'm doing, but
I'm telling you, I'm in agreement with you, Robert. I noticed that about her. I'm not even joking. First of all, her face doesn't move, so she's got to be doing like Botox or something. But like, she is always expressionless, and her face is like pale and shiny in a way that evokes the uncanny valley. And for those of you viewing,
what is the uncanny valley?
Okay, so uncanny valley is this
a valley without cans?
Correct. No, it is.
What kind of cans? I like canned food. I grew up on canned food.
Dr. Pepper. It's what happens when a human being sees another humanoid or human-like thing, but we can tell that it's not human, and it makes us uncomfortable. So
can you dumb this down to an 8th grade level so I understand what you just said, please?
When you're watching a movie, as an example, like Battle
with dead people in it, right?
No, one of a newer movie. A great example would be like.
I only watch movies with dead people in
I know, but there's a movie called Battle Angel Alita. As an example, Benjamin did stunts in this movie. And the main character, they made her eyes bigger and they adjusted her facial features, but it's a real actress, but she looks fake. It looks weird, and it makes us uncomfortable. So it's the evoking.
Well, in Michigan, that would be a hate crime.
For someone
the people who would make that movie would be a hate crime, and they could go to jail.
You go to jail. You overcook chicken, straight to jail.
Straight to jail. So, I mean, folks who are listening, you can't make this stuff up. So, but there's a serious side to all of this. Forget about that. I can't get my pizza anymore in New York City because I am going to go buy some and freeze it. But
get me some.
Yeah. By the way, when I travel, my wife doesn't care where I go. She just wants to know what food I'm bringing home. So we freeze a lot of that stuff because in New York and New Jersey, where I grew up, it's all about the food.
I got you.
And rightfully so. But there's a dark side to all of this, which is there is such a multifaceted attack on society, culture, that it takes all these different forms. And now what they're trying to do is, I always argue that we should have a debate in the public square. I don't mind a vociferous, heated, a really intense debate on what's important, what's truth, values, what's right, what's wrong. Let's have those debates. We should, right along line with the great entitlement spending about Social Security and Medicare and all the things the government is spending on when they're spending OPM, other people's money. But at its core, on a cultural level, this is just another manifestation that the woke, the other camp, shall we call it, those who are anti-American, and they'll claim that they are, but they're full of crap. They're not. They're not. They see America as a bad colonial power. Thank you, Barack Obama, right? Because he sort of, let the crazies out of the bag in terms of, people like that.
Yep.
But what they're really doing in all of this is they're trying to silence by any means possible, censor, silence any public discourse, any public conversation that goes against the narrative of this new religion. Because folks, wokeism is a new religion, right? And it's an old religion made new, and it is led by what all new religions are. They are intolerant of anyone who does not toe the party line or does not follow the pure faith. That's what this is, and you now see it at play in Michigan. What say you to all this?
Well, interestingly, I have a couple of things to say. I learned recently the First Amendment applies only to the federal government. So technically, states can apparently pass laws that infringe on speech. So I need to just for the record for the viewing
accurate.
and listening
that
audience.
That is not accurate.
My understanding, this what people are saying is somehow it's okay for states to do it as long as the federal government doesn't do it. And I'm like, ugh.
No. Let's be clear about the 10th Amendment, right? The 10th Amendment essentially says that any power not vested in the federal government by omission returns to the states. But anything that is vested in the federal government, i.e. the Bill of Rights, freedom of speech, cannot be overridden by state law. Anything where it's, let's call it policy silent, for lack of a better term,
right?
Or if the Constitution does not address it, or a federal law. So it's right.
So I wonder how they're justifying this then.
They're ignoring the laws. What are you talking about?
They just don't care. So it's basically just a way to infringe on freedom of speech.
Of course it is, because think about the system. Someone in Michigan is going to have to get convicted of this law. They're going to have to appeal the conviction. It's going to have to go through the levels of courts in Michigan, of which I am ignorant, whether there's a district court, Supreme Court, and what the Michigan levels are. Then it's got to go to the federal level, and then it's got to go to the Federal Court of Appeals, and then it has to be petitioned, right? Certiorari, you'd have to petition the Supreme Court after,
and depending on how the
and then they have to take it. That's going to take you, 15 years?
Oh, I wonder.
Yeah, I'm very
curious how this is going to go.
Right.
I am very curious.
So you're going to go to jail. So, by the way,
go to jail.
As we expand our empire of the people, we're not going to be in Michigan. I just can tell you, because I ain't going to jail.
You pull a sweater, go straight to jail.
Yeah.
All right. I'm referencing it's a quote from a show. But honestly, Robert, we can't be surprised. There's a lot of people that are very different than folks like you and I. One of the things I've learned growing up is that I was learned not to be afraid of confrontation. I was raised to be comfortable in my own skin. Sticks and stones may break my bones, that whole thing. I'm not afraid of words. I'm not afraid of confrontation because I know who I am in my own skin. But apparently, the cultural shift, these folks can't hang like you and I. So,
well, I think it all started in the 60s. We took our eye off the ball, and it started with safe spaces and tenure in academia. But we'll talk about that at some other time, because Lord Benjamin, our producer, is giving us the high sign. So it is time to take a break. Folks, we're going to be talking about big education, and you're going to hate this one, but you're going to want to know. Stay tuned. Ericka and I will be right back. We are of the people. You can find us on Rumble. You can find me on Twitter at @RBChernin, and
I am at Ericka Redic.
Look us up. You'll be entertained.
That we guarantee.
Absolutely. She's never wrong.
Ever. Just ask my husband.
Hello, and welcome back to Of the People. I am Robert Chernin.
With Ericka Redic.
Thanks for staying with us. So, Ericka, before we dive in, we talk about WTO. Where's the outrage? I think WTO, we're going to rename that.
Okay.
WTO now means woke to oblivion. Because is there anything that woke doesn't touch that doesn't just screw it up?
No, literally.
Let me ask you a question. this is a test.
Okay.
Be careful. You're being graded.
Okay.
Is there anything that wokeness or wokeism or whatever woke thing you want to label it has made better? Name me one thing. This is not a trick question.
I can't think of anything. There is that one Childish Gambino song, "Stay Woke." I don't know if that's where this started from. That is a good song.
That's okay, but it sure ain't working for Bud Light or Anheuser-Busch these days.
And it is the original meaning of woke. That's oh my God, wokeness actually destroyed the word woke. That means it ruined the song woke. Stay woke. No, it literally ruins everything.
So, all right. So, got it. So, folks, you can reach me at Robert at Coalition, the number 4 America, coalition4america.com. I'd like to find me one thing that woke has made better. And Ericka, where can they reach you?
Challenge. generallyirritable@gmail.com.
And by the way, today, she's not generally irritable. She is outraged. We're going to get to that in segment 3.
Wicked irritable.
So here's the other thing, and then we're going to segue into woke. There is now concrete proof through census. The great migration of the African American, really it's black community, from the old South.
Yep.
They fled north and they fled west for freedom, for schools, for everything else. There is now definitive proof through the census that there is a reverse migration, that black Americans are leaving the cities in the north and west and heading in droves back down south, right?
Yep.
Right. So, I'm sure I'm going to get crap for this. So they left the plantation, right, in the early 20th century.
Yes.
Only to be on the Democrat plantation in these cities where they are, in my opinion, held captive. And they're held captive by keeping the cycle of poverty, by refusing to allow them to get better education, to raise themselves up.
That's right.
But now they're leaving in droves to go to, and look, most, some are liberal, some are conservative. The point is that, we talk about the black community like somehow it's different than any other community. And look, the Jewish community has its own idiosyncrasies and they're different. The black community, the gay community, that's fine.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, let's look for what we all have in common. Is there a community out there, black or otherwise, that doesn't want better education for their children?
I mean, that is across the board. It does not matter what color, race, culture. People want their kids to have better opportunity than they did. They want to be able to have good jobs. They want safety, security.
Right. So, and they want, is there any parent out there, black, white, brown, pink, purple, I don't care. Is there any parent out there that doesn't want their children to start off better than they did with more opportunities?
No. Unless you're a terrible person. I don't know anybody like that.
Right. So what do you make of this black migration? Because that will, a lot of things changed during COVID, right? And then people were voting with their feet, thank God. But if the black community is now being more dispersed, and let's be clear about it, it's not just New York City. It's anywhere that there were large black populations in the north or in the west. Oakland, San Francisco,
Philly.
Chicago, Philadelphia, Cleveland, New York. The list goes on. And there's now, I think it's like 20%, don't quote me on the number, but significant migration, which will change the politics of where they end up, because not all of them are conservative, and that's fine.
Yeah.
Right? So here's my question for you. Were they leaving the plantation to go north, or are they leaving the plantation when they're going south or away from it? Because I think, you know what I think.
I know. Well, this is what actually, this is why you'll hear a lot of black conservatives or black folks who are involved in politics say they're leaving the Democrat plantation, right? So they left the Southern plantation for the Democrat plantation.
Right.
They bought into the lie that the Democratic Party actually cares about them, actually wants what's best for them, and would support them in rising up out of the civil rights era with political power and more opportunity. And the reality is, it was all a lie. Even President, oh my God, starts with an L, from Texas. I'm a terrible Texan. I'm going to
Lyndon Baines Johnson?
Yes.
LBJ.
He even said, we'll have these N-words voting for us for decades.
Excuse me. You live in Texas, and one of the most revered presidents and all, because, Texas had a couple, right?
Yeah.
LBJ, just remember the initials.
Total
LBJ.
racist. He literally said, we'll have these N-words voting for us for decades. So this belief that somehow the Democratic Party ever cared about Black people was always a lie. They were using the Deaf people to change demographics. They lied. They said that they would get political power. It was, and so
by the way, you know how facts don't matter. I'm going to give you a fact that
gets me hot.
I'm going to give you a fact that doesn't matter, because people hear it and their eyes roll back in their head. But I'm going to do it anyway.
Okay.
Which party emancipated the slaves, the Black slaves?
Republican Party.
Under Abraham Lincoln.
That's
Which
right.
party at the time was responsible for, quote unquote, wanting to keep them on the plantations down south?
The Democrats.
So the Black community gets emancipated. Wait, that's fact. And then they get emancipated and they move north and they move west, and they go on a new Democrat-run plantation called inner cities.
Yes.
So the Black community is what? 13% roughly of the American population, give or take.
Yeah.
They always talk about the Jewish vote, of course. I think we're 2%. I will tell you that when the Black community in droves finally wakes up to this, how egregiously they've been treated over time, and the Hispanic community as well, because those two communities are really, when you add them together, that's where the political power is. When the Black community finally wakes up and decides to vote in their interests, and not just vote because some charlatan like Al Sharpton, tries to keep them in the promised land of the inner city for money, then the country changes.
This is one of the things. It's an old video, Robert. It's like, golly, what is that now? 2-3 years old on my channel, Generally Irritable, where I actually spliced together quotes from the Lincoln Douglas debates. Okay. Stephen Douglas, Democrat, Abraham Lincoln, Republican. I spliced together quotes from the Lincoln Douglas debates with an Ari Shapiro video where he is quoting white people of today, basically saying this, repeating the same racist tropes about Black people as Stephen Douglas was during their debate. It is so outrageous to me.
For thousands of years, the Negro has been a race upon the earth, and during all that time, in all latitudes and climates, wherever he has wandered or been taken, he has been inferior to the race which he has there met. I do not believe that the Almighty made the Negro capable of self-government. He belongs to an inferior race and must always occupy an inferior position.
Wow. These days, the argument is that Black people can't get themselves IDs and things like that to be able to vote.
I think voter ID laws are a way to perpetuate racism.
Minority voters are less likely to have the kinds of IDs that have been described or required.
And that voter ID laws disproportionately affect people of color.
Yeah, you have to have access to the internet. You have to be able to pay an internet service provider for certain fees.
Do you think that's harder for Black people to go online?
Well, I feel like they don't have the knowledge of how it works. How if you're a convicted felon, you're not allowed to vote and everything. And when you look at swing states like Florida, that's a huge population of the African American.
How is it possible that you guys think that Black people or Hispanic people can't manage to get to the DMV?
I know it's at. It's on 25th Street. It's on 125th Street and 3rd Avenue, I believe.
You know how to get there?
Yeah.
They need an ID to get a bank account, to go on a plane, to get a job, to do anything.
Why would they think we don't have ID?
That's a lie. Why would they say that?
So even if you don't think they're smart enough to get a job and take care of themselves, they need an ID to get those welfare benefits. How is that voter suppression?
This is one of those topics that I get super hot about because...
Excuse me. Is there a topic that you don't get super hot about? Because if there is, I can't name it.
Wait, Benjamin is telling me to repeat that quote. Which quote? The Johnson quote? They need to wake up. You mean get woke? Oh, yes. Oh, okay. That did not go well, Benjamin. I don't know what you're trying. I don't even understand. We're going to cut this part out of the video.
No, we're not. This is my favorite part. I get to watch sort of the repartee and not be a part of it. I'm so tired of leading.
I don't know what you're saying, Benjamin. I literally don't know what Robert said. Get woke. Oh, right. They need to wake up.
They need to wake up. Robert, I did say that.
Get woke.
They need to get woke, but they need to get woke in the real sense, right? Wait. Wasn't it you who just said that they've redefined the term woke?
He's shaking his head. Yes. So originally, this is the whole thing. The original
like
song,
gay used to mean happy.
Right.
Woke used to mean actually waking up, not right.
Yes, awakening. So the original song by Childish Gambino was "Stay Woke," meaning stay awake, stay aware, wake up, see what people are doing, do whatever. And so it really is like, unfortunately, the left, like they do everything because they are terrible, is they commandeer the language and they change it.
But we allow it.
Commandeer the language. Dude, even, oh my God.
Did you just call me dude?
Dude.
So that would make me the Big Lebowski? I love that. The dude. I want to be the dude. Is there anybody who doesn't want to be the dude?
Oh my God, I'm having hard times with names today. The black guy from the 70s that they assassinated. Not
Martin Luther King?
Not MLK.
Malcolm X?
Malcolm X. Malcolm X said the most dangerous person.
This is why you need me. This is why you need me.
Malcolm X said the most dangerous person to a black man is the white liberal. He literally warned against all of the policies on welfare, the way that white liberals were trying to take the black man out of the home and tear him down and call him names.
But Malcolm X also said that the black community could not integrate into America and really needed its own nation.
He also changed over the years. I believe he died a Christian. So
that could be.
Malcolm X was
that could be. I don't know.
Malcolm X was an incredibly dynamic and
for sure,
figure and he has been demonized. And I believe he was demonized by the likes of a Lyndon Baines Johnson, who did not want black people to awaken to what they were trying to do to the community. And so what has happened is these policies of inclusion and all this other crap, it has destroyed the cities. And now black people are seeing that the lies are happening and they're leaving. They are leaving the Democrat plantation.
Thank goodness. Let them leave the cities. And look, I want to segue to one other thing that's related to this, which is the whole education thing. I mean, when you see the nonsense they're shoving down our throats, and they're not just shoving it down the throats of black families, it's white families and pink families, and who cares? But what used to pass for education, now it's no longer... We no longer try to raise people up. We try to dumb people down so no one feels bad about themselves, because in Michigan, you go to jail if you make someone feel bad about themselves for 5 years or whatever it is. So you've got, and we've talked about big education because I really want to get to this because it impacts the whole country, but it certainly impacts the black community at least as much as everyone else, and perhaps more given the inner city aspect to all all of this. So we'll get to my friend the Hopping Hobbit later, but the NEA, which is the American Federation of Teachers that Randy Weingarten is the head of, is the second largest big education union. The National Education Association is numero uno, number one. Mm-hmm. And they just came out with, you'll love this one, they just came out with a toolkit on sexual orientation and gender identity for teachers, and pronouns. Someone has to tell me what z, zim, zer, zins, zitself or zerself is and all that crap. So at the end of the day, they're not about teaching. They're about, again, wokeism, redefining society. They're about mind control, in my words, right? Because they're going after the youth.
Yes.
And then you've got that. Can I say the word cretin? Because she's a cretin to me. Yeah. You've got a cretin like Randy Weingarten, who now has the audacity to come out and say, "Oh, of course there was some learning loss and there was some mental health during COVID, but we didn't know any better, and it's not our fault."
What?
Oh, you didn't see that? Oh, no. So look up, folks. I may talk a lot, but I try not to make up too much. I make up a little bit, right? Randy Weingarten admitted during an interview that, quote unquote, of course there was learning and mental health crisis during the pandemic. If you don't believe me, just look it up. And that is in early June. Actually, it was last week she was interviewed. And here's the quote, which you're going to love. She basically says the following. All of us were wrong when we said, oh, no, there's no learning loss. Of course there was learning loss. Of course there was a mental health crisis, she said. What COVID did, whether schools were reopened or not, because LA did better than Florida, which is total crap. It's not true. And she doesn't cite any facts. What COVID did was created a huge loneliness and dislocation. We didn't know any better. Right. And then she went on to blame, of course, the culture wars around the country for the declining scores. And don't forget, this is the first time in 100 years that the reading scores are down, the math scores are down. I mean, if you want me to pull this up, I'll get the exact quote again. But this is the first time again.
We're dimmer.
Right. Yep. U.S. schools have seen the largest average score decline in reading scores since 1990 and the first average score decline in math since 1989. Right. But what she says is, but we need a more inclusive society. So there's that word again. So let's dumb everything down. Let's not try to, so a rising, tide doesn't float all boats. In fact, a rising tide is going to make other people feel bad who have to work harder to rise with the tide. Oh my God.
Do you know there?
Right.
Robert,
and this is why the black community is leaving the cities, because they get fed that crap.
Well, and right? I just learned about the reading curriculum over the last 20 or 30 years.
Right.
Actually also got changed.
Correct. Of course it does.
So rather than sounding out words like a is or or whatever, instead of learning to sound out words given like letter, order, or whatever, like you and I were taught to read, they have been taught to look for context clues in the sentence. So we literally aren't even teaching reading anymore.
Wait a minute. Thomas Sowell, who, if you've never read any Thomas Sowell, or who is one of the most brilliant minds,
national treasure,
no question. And I'm going to paraphrase because I don't remember the exact quote, but he basically said, the issue isn't that Johnny can't read and Johnny can't write. The issue is we're not teaching Johnny how to think. And I'm paraphrasing, folks, but look up Thomas Sowell, Sowell. National treasure doesn't begin to really, the simplistic brilliance of this man and the cutting truth is irrefutable by anyone, and I defy anybody to show me something, go, well, it was wrong about that. It wasn't perfect, I get all that. But my point in all of this, because we have to go to break, is that when you combine the fact that the black American community is leaving the inner cities, one of the things driving them out of the inner cities is they're looking for better education. And I have a thing I will tell you.
Number one reason, I think.
Yeah, because how do you break the cycle of poverty? You get educated. That's it's not rocket science. This is how it works. I will say, though, I think they, being the big education, whether it's Randy Weingarten or the NEA, has overplayed their hand, because I think they have been the single greatest boon to private schools, to religious schools, to charter schools, and that movement now, and parents are now involved in this critical race theory crap that they're shoving down our throats. Good. You guys keep doing it, because you're worried about wokeness. Well, we are awake.
Yep.
And we're about to fight back. And we've been fighting back. That, by the way, gets my hot buttons going. Folks, you are listening to Robert Chernin and the lovely
Ericka Redic.
We will be right back. Stay with us.
From conservative commentator and contributor to Breitbart News, The American Spectator, The Jerusalem Post, The New Civil War, Exposing Elites, Fighting Utopian Leftism, and Restoring America, Bruce D. Abramson brings a transformative exploration into how progressivism has poisoned America. Featuring a foreword by President Trump's former strategist Sebastian Gorka, Ph.D., The New Civil War will open your eyes to the left's incendiary agenda and how patriotic Americans can fight back. We are living through a national trauma. The United States has jettisoned the rule of law and ceased functioning as a republic. Battle lines have been drawn. Progressives are moving quickly to cement their transformation of the country's beliefs, attitudes, values, social structures, economic models, and government organizations. Patriotic Americans are waking up to recognize that conservatism failed to conserve much of anything. Progressives control academia, media, the civil service, and several of our country's most important industries. The new Civil War is not a call for war. It is a recognition that war has been declared on us. Our sacred love of liberty is under attack. Unless we defend it, the America we love may be lost. This book is for every patriotic American eager to defeat the utopian left and restore America. Joel Pollack, conservative journalist. Americans face a bizarre new political landscape. A supposedly moderate president who ran on promises of unity is pursuing a radical left-wing agenda. These challenges call for principled, effective opposition. The new Civil War will help start a conversation about how to push back. Harmeet Dhillon, civil rights lawyer. As a lawyer who defends the victims of progressivism every day, I have looked into the eyes of the thought police. The new Civil War provides the wake-up call America needs and serves as a self-defense manual for patriotic Americans. Get your copy of The New Civil War today.
Hello, and welcome back to Of the People. I'm Robert Chernin.
With Ericka Redic.
And we are back. That was a heck of a segment, Ericka.
Oh my God, Robert! I just had to say it. You know, the kids, anything to do with children and the abuse or or you know, just not being good to children automatically gets me hot. And when I think about the fact that our education system is literally not teaching them to read anymore,
failing our kids.
They failing, and they are not teaching them to read cursive anymore, which literally
read
all
cursive.
Of our
they're not teaching them to write cursive.
They're not writing cursive, but with that they can't read cursive. So that literally means
Ericka, they can't read. Forget about cursive. They can't read.
I know, but all of our founding documents. Think about this, Robert. All of our founding documents and all of the historical documents are written in cursive, not printing. So not only are they making them dumber in many ways, they're not even going to be able to understand their history. It's going to be like a different written language to them.
Wait a minute, Ericka. This is with intent. If you're trying to change the country, transform the country into something different, you know, right? You break down all the old customs, all the old rules. If you don't teach people how to read, then how can they read the old documents to know what's there?
Literally,
right?
They are destroying
to me, it's
this country.
To me, it's with intent.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, we're talking about movie references. There's an old movie called The Time Machine with Rod Taylor. And it was a 4:30 movie, and he develops a time machine in England, and he goes forward, 20,000 years. And then there's the Eloi and the Murlocs. I won't get into that, but the Eloi who live above the ground lost the ability to read. They have all these discs that tell them about history, but they've lost the ability to read, and they become this sort of feckless, unable to take care of themselves culture, right? And they're also food for the Morlocks, right? We're not quite at cannibalism yet, but what do you think's going on here? There's a reason. There's a reason. Look, I want to keep the black community.
Does that feel prophetic?
Wait a minute. I want to keep the black community on the plantation. I don't, but right. If I want to keep the black community on the plantation, don't teach them how to read. Don't teach them how to get educated, and don't teach them how to raise themselves up, because then they're going to stay there.
Oh my God.
We don't teach civics in school. We don't teach civics in school. We don't teach our history. We don't teach our founding documents. There used to at least be something called social studies, which was sort of the watered down version of civics.
Yes.
Do you not think this is with intent?
Oh my God.
Don't teach them how to read. Therefore, they won't know what documents they're supposed to live under. They'll do what we tell them.
The administrative agency. This is why, again, we gotta get rid of the federal agencies. The agency literally charged with educating the next generations is actually literally destroying them. Literally.
And you're surprised by this, how? Listen, I want to segue because I promised everybody I want to talk about illegal immigration. And we're talking about kids, but I want to talk about an aspect that people don't really talk about. You know, there's how many hundreds and millions of people have crossed the border. I think that they've caught like 2.2 million, and they've missed more than that. And don't quote me on the numbers, but the numbers are massive with Title 42 and ending and all of that.
Yeah.
But what's often overlooked in this, and we're back to the children, is the child trafficking aspect. I mean, this is big business. Child trafficking, mostly for sex, but, for sex trafficking, but, for other, for working and everything else, is at a record pace. I want to say in 2020, I think we were down to and they're called, by the way, they have these lovely acronyms, UAC. Do you know what a UAC is?
Unaccompanied child?
You got it. Unaccompanied alien. Unaccompanied alien child.
Okay.
2020, there were about 35,000. Don't quote me on the numbers. I have it somewhere. There is 200 and in 2022, that number has risen to 200. Let me get my number. It's 33,000 in 2020, 152,000 in 2022. And 70% of the kids that cross the border as UAC are 50, because to be a minor, right, you have to be under 18, but 70% of them are over 15. And they come in, and then they get through this whole process, and then they get put with these surrogates, or they get put with these responsible parties, and then we lose track of them. The Biden administration has lost track, I want to say the numbers, of 87,000 children.
Yep.
So on the one hand, we want to keep blacks in the inner city because they're one of our voting bases, and we don't want to educate them. And then we want to bring in, through this drug cartel trafficking network, all these children into the country that we don't, you know what the common denominator is here? It's what you said before.
The Biden administration?
But no, it's what you said before. They don't care about the children. The children are pawns.
This is the thing that is when you look at the numbers of the dollar value of those children that have gone missing, and to me, just to be really frank with you, Robert, given the fact that the United States is not only the number one, we're the number one. We're always in the top 3 of consumers of relations with.
No, come on.
I don't know what I'm allowed to say. I don't know. In all sincerity,
if we have to bleep
what's
you, I will.
Going to get bleeped.
Go for it.
So, of sex with children. So
pedophilia. You're talking about pedophilia.
Pedophilia.
You can say pedophilia.
Pedophilia is, and Texas is actually this number 1 state in the union for sex tourism with children. So if you're a pedophile, the number 1 state in the union to go visit is Texas. So of course it makes sense to let 85,000 unaccompanied minors go missing while they're crossing the border to the tunes billions of dollars. I believe the number is, this is staggering. I don't want to get nerdy with numbers, you guys,
the numbers are accurate.
I don't want to lose people.
Wait a minute. There was a whistleblower who just testified before the House that basically says the U.S. government is, quote unquote, a middleman in a multi-billion-dollar migrant child trafficking operation. Now, I'm not sure that means that the U.S. government is knowingly doing that, but the incompetence and inefficiency and the politics of it, right? Because let's keep the blacks in the inner city because we need them to vote for us in those blue states. Let's bring in all these, these multi-billion-dollar industry of children, unaccompanied alien children. We lose track of them. There's a whole flow of that money. Ultimately, they will be voters, and they will be voters on the Democratic plantation, because where do you think these kids are going to go? They're also going to go to the inner city because it has the services and it has everything that they're going to need to eke by an existence. They're not going to get educated, right?
No. Well, and most of them will die within 2 to 5 years. If one of these, any of these, that is a statistic.
Wow,
if you are a child,
I did not know that.
If you are a child that gets trafficked, your lifespan is only about 2 to 5 years. At which time, and this is stuff that people do not want to talk about. This is the dirty truth. Everybody needs to go to angelstudios.com, I think it is, or Fandango or wherever. There's a movie coming out about a man. It's called Sound of Freedom. It is coming out July 4th. It is in theaters. Is it Tim Barrows? Give me his name to make sure I get it right. Real life guy who rescues children from trafficking. Okay. The movie comes out next week. Everyone needs to go see this. So these children are being trafficked. They only live, if they're lucky, 2 to 5 years, at which time they are, if it's still useful and available, their organs are then being harvested and they're killed. These children are harsh. Literally cattle to these traffickers.
So there is nothing that demonstrates the moral bankruptcy to me in this country, the abuse to children. I mean, adults cross the border. The immigration system is broken. We know about that. And I'm sorry, folks, if 30 people are invading my house, it's an invasion. If,
That's right.
How many, millions are invading our country and coming across illegally. I mean, you can immigrate, do it legally, right? That country was built on that. So I am not anti-immigrant. I'm sure I'll be labeled as xenophobic, racist, and all that other crap.
No.
I'm not anti-immigration. I mean, my great-grandparents immigrated from Eastern Europe. I get that, right? It's the great melting pot. But come legally, right?
That's right.
The children, the moral bankruptcy that really indicates is mind-boggling to me, right? So
really,
I want to go back to this woman, though. So the woman, she's, and by the way, there's all these acronyms. There's CBP.
Okay, hold on. Tim Ballard. So everybody watching the movie, it is based on it is a documentary, or it's based on a documentary. This is a real person, real life, Nazarene Ministries or something like that. Tim Ballard. Everybody needs to go see it.
So, Ericka, let's put that up on your website. Tell them where they're going.
GenerallyIrritable.com.
Okay, so she's gonna post that on her website. So rather than have to do it in crunch time when we're on air, post it, because this is important stuff. I mean, the immigration issue is one thing, but the child trafficking and the sex trafficking is such an issue of moral turpitude that it boggles my mind. So, there's a lot of acronyms here, right? CBP, Customs and Border Patrol, HHS gets involved, Health and Human Services, DHS, but then there's ORR, right? So, and ORR is the Office of Refugee Resettlement. I mean, so the kids get caught in this whole system, right? So this woman, and I want to get her name right, with the Biden administration, Rodas, R-O-D-A-S. So she testifies before Congress the following. She said, "I thought I was going to help place children in loving homes. Instead, I discovered that children are being trafficked through a sophisticated network that begins with being recruited in their home country, smuggled into the U.S., and ends with ORR delivering a child to a sponsor. Some sponsors are criminal and are traffickers and members of a transnational criminal organization, and most children are just assets and are used for earning income. This is why we are witnessing an explosion of labor trafficking, folks."
That's right.
This is, we can fight about a lot of things in this country, right? But we're supposed to take care of those people who couldn't fight for themselves. We're supposed to take care of the children, whether it's children who are here legally or illegally. And we can talk about whether they should stay or go, but we have a moral obligation to tackle this issue head on, and shame on both parties for not tackling this issue. It is unforgivable and incorrigible to me.
We have more slaves now than we ever did during the transnational slave trade. The market in the United States alone, I believe, is $150 billion. So this is whether it's sex trafficking, human trafficking, whatever it is, $150 billion. So what these criminal organizations have figured out is they can make more money selling human beings, because these human beings can be sold over and over and over again, rather than just once to some junkie who's going to die on the street anyway.
And understand, folks, that this starts in their home country. And these people come to the border. I mean, you read up on it. They come to the border. They'll have a name and a phone number, may or may not. And it doesn't mean, by the way, they come alone. They usually come in groups, right?
That's right.
So it's not like this one little kid comes to the border by himself. They are cultivated in foreign countries. They are brought to the border. They are taught. And by the way, most of the time, they're met by some progressive, far left legal service that thinks that they're doing. I don't know what they think they're doing, but they just think they're adding voters, I guess, future voters.
I really believe in my heart, and I hope that if Republicans are worth their salt at all, they will bring human rights violations charges against the Biden administration and everyone involved in these decisions. They need to absolutely be prosecuted as criminals.
Never, Ericka.
It is. Oh my God!
I feel what you feel. That will never happen.
This is
Hunter
a
Biden.
genocide.
Excuse me. Hunter Biden got away with crimes that you and I would probably be in jail for 25 years. Right? Just got away.
And that
there is no. There are not just two. There are multiple standards of law enforcement. There is no way. And most people, let's be honest, it's out of sight, out of mind. You live behind your gated homes in LA or wherever you live.
Yep.
You preach that, I'm for inclusion in the little guy, and yet you allow this to happen to the children.
What's more racist? Okay. What demonstrates racism more? A president and an administration that fights human trafficking, the trafficking of black and brown bodies,
right? Or
the administration who has policies that allow them to be violated and had human rights atrocities committed against them. Which one sounds more racist to our listeners and our viewers? I would love for you to comment, send us an email. Which one sounds more racist to you? The ones who let black and brown people be harmed, or the one who prevents them from being harmed? I'm just curious.
I get it. Look, the problem is that, again, divide and conquer. People are so consumed with living their own lives, as they should be, earning a living, taking care of their family, and now we're all fighting each other because we're divided into these little boxes where, I'm against you and you're against me, and no one helps each other anyways, right? Because that whole neighborly thing about helping your neighbor, gone.
Nope.
Right? All of that is gone. So, of course, this stuff can just happen because it is morally repugnant to me, but I understand why it goes under the radar. Not because it should, but because people don't have the time, intentionally are forced to not have the time. And you've got to start with your home, right? You've got to start with your family. You've got to start with taking care of that, right? That's the issue. But look, folks, there's a whole lot more to this. We've just scratched the surface, but I wanted to just highlight, and I know, Ericka, it's a passion point for you. I know it's a passion point for me. This is about the kids, because I'll tell you something. To me, anyone who sexually abuses a young child, so the solution for me is simple. And we'll end on a high note. The solution for me is simple. You get these people who are the offenders, you cut off their, you sew them in their mouth, and you throw them off a boat into deep water. It's really simple to me, folks. Okay. This is morally repugnant. And we wanted to highlight it because, sorry to end on such a serious note, but this is a serious topic. We wanted to highlight it because it's not just about illegal immigration. It's about the children.
That's right.
Folks, you have been listening to Robert Chernin and
Ericka Redic.
The lovely Ericka Redic, who was more than generally irritable today.
Oh, my God.
You can find me at Robert at Coalition4, the number 4, America.com, and you can find Ericka at Ericka, ERICA, at generallyirritable.com. Did I get that right?
So the email address is just generallyirritable@gmail.com.
All right, I got it wrong. Leave it to me to screw up the email at the end. Folks, thanks for staying with us. We'll see you next week. Take care.